Hello, my name is Brian Galebach, and I will be a guest commentator in this video for Dweebovision. I am a North American Scrabble expert, and in this video, I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully, this will help to improve your game and be fun to watch. I will be playing this game with the North American Tournament word list and the double challenge rule, in which a lost challenge results in a loss of turn. The game is just about to start, so let's join the action. Alright, it's my opponent to go first. I have a blank, which is good, but I have a duplicated I and W, which are not conducive to getting a bingo. But looks like I'm pretty close to something like whose is or something, but that only has one I, so I'm probably not going to have a bingo. So what I'm going to want to do is try to get rid of some duplicated letters in the W. I have two S's. I don't necessarily need to. If I can get extra points for using one of the S's, that would be fine. All right, while my opponent is thinking, I'm just going to use the finger command and see if there's anything interesting about my opponent that might help me during the game. This is a NASPA player, so I can expect that this person is playing according to expected online rules, not going off and finding words in some sort of anagram or something. So that's good to know. I don't know exactly who this is. All right. Now, so I have the I. I could do something like, now, woof, W-H-O-O-F, I believe is a word. So I could play Ewis. No, I can't do that. The W needs to go there. It would have been nice if I could reach the double letter score, but I could just do something like Wis, or I could do Ewis here. That's 21 points. That's a good score. OS blank is an okay leave. I like this play. I don't believe I'm going to score a lot extra for anywhere else. I could put the W here, but well, I could do something like OW, but then that keeps duplicated I. I don't want to keep duplicated I, and I don't see a way to use an I otherwise. Let's go with Ewis. All right. Now, I pick up the Q. I don't have a U or an I to go with it, but I do have the blank. If I make the blank a U, what can I do with that? Well, it doesn't look like a 7-letter bingo. Just looking at some of the floaters, there's only an S, which is not that helpful since I already have an S, an O, and an F. All right, my opponent gets a bingo. Now, I could use my Q right here for 22 points and leaving myself with a bingo-y leave. That does leave an E in the triple lane for my opponent possibly, but I am behind, so I don't want to worry too much about being super defensive at this point. I don't see a way I can use extra letters with this, so I think I'm going to go with QI. All right, so this makes some bingos. I see a rather rude 7-letter bingo immediately looking at this. I also could play the word shoaled, meaning to shallow. And that would play right here, also getting, well, that would get a blank on the triple letter square. That doesn't score any extra. Now, I have an E in the triple lane. Okay, and my opponent does take that out. All right. So, I have right now this for 76 points. All right, a rather rude suggestion I'm looking at places an H here. I'm not going to say the word out loud during the video, but that would get the H there. That's going to be more points. Now, it would be nice if I could maybe get the H here and play parallel. Well, I'm just going to look at how many points this play is. That would be 82. That's more. All right, I'm just going to look through here. Loaches is a word. CH. That gets the S there. 84 points. All right, so that's a good score, and it scores more than the alternative. Now, that also could be played here. But I can't easily reach that double word square. Loaches seems pretty good. Now, this AI, what does that take? That takes a front R. If I have an R here, what does that make? Shoaler, more shallow. So that only scores 72. I think I like this play here. All right, and I should have written it down because I forgot loaches. I like this play a lot. That's fine. 84 points it is. All right, and that gets me right back in the game. I have a 7-point lead. My opponent is on turn. Now, I have a J for scoring. That would fit right here, but now can I make anything parallel right now? I don't believe so. A fits here, but then J, A, where do I go from there? I would need another vowel in front of the N. That's not going to work. I'm close to jaunt, which would work if I had an N. All right. Well, in any case, I can play the J for 25 points. J also fits here. I could play Taj for 37 points. That's a good alternative. All right, where else can I play the J? And the reason I'm looking to play off the J is because it's not conducive to bingos. You can score a lot with it, and it is to your advantage to play it off rather quickly. And I think I'm going to go for Taj immediately. DFOU is not a great leave, but I do score 37 points, which is a good score. All right. Now, I'm a little bit vowel heavy. I'm going to try to see if I can get rid of some of these vowels. How can I do that? Now, this is a little bit of a hot spot. This triple lane I opened. Can I do something there? I could play perhaps foot for 21 points. That would again leave me with high vowels. Now, ant takes a back E. I could maybe play feud for 20 points. That leaves me with all vowels. How can I... Well, I could just play few for fewer points and leaving me with a consonant. That doesn't seem great. Okay, looking at this, how can I use a lot of vowels? These vowels don't really go particularly well together. All right, and looking on the board, is few a verb? I think it is, so I could play that, but that's almost no points. And especially since I'm not sure of its validity, I don't want to make that play. What could I play parallel to ant here? Could I do something? The T takes an O in back. The N takes a U or an E. If I place an O here, which is the only one that goes there, what can I do here parallel? C-E-O, that doesn't look promising. How about C-U-O? That also doesn't look promising. All right, so that's not much going there. C doesn't take any front or back extensions, so I can't play anything here. Well, I could go for foot. Not a great leave, but it scores 21 points, and it does take out this dangerous spot so my opponents can't use it. That's a plus. So I kind of like this play. Leaving a space open in a triple lane is no better than you opening it up yourself. So in this case, I'm going to take this out by playing foot. All right. Now, I have the 6-letter play Ureide, U-R-E-I-D-E. Does that play anywhere? Yes, that plays here under ant, which I noticed before. And that scores 20 points, and that cleans up my rack nicely. Now, I could play that one space to the left, making ant high, but that's going to score fewer, and I don't really see a good reason to do that. Now, I also could play Ureide here. That opens up a triple lane. I don't like that. I like it right here. That seems pretty good. 20 points, cleans up the rack. Let's do it. All right, now we're getting a little closer to a bingo here. I think this is a bingo. I think it's galette, G-A-L-E-T-T-E. But does it play anywhere? I don't believe it does at the moment. All right, so not being able to play a bingo, what could I do? All right, I currently have a 30-point lead, which is good. My opponent is on turn, so we're rather close to even. It's going to be to my benefit to try to get to a bingo rack as quickly as I can here. I have 13 minutes remaining, 39 tiles left in the bag, so I'm doing okay on time. It'd be nice to have a little bit more time. All right. I don't have many high-scoring tiles. I only have the G for 2 points. Everything else is 1 point. All right, let's look around the score for any kind of hot spots. There really aren't that many hot spots on this board. Now, I'm trying to remember, is crispate? I think crispate is a word, but that would not score many points if I did it. I would like to score points and keep a good rack balance if I can. I have duplicated T and duplicated E, so I do want to try to use one of each of those tiles if I can. O only takes a back E that I have. I'm looking to see, do I have a 5-point or a 5-tile play? Manpower, a nice play by my opponent. Now, does that open any possibilities for me? I have 4 floaters in the M, the A, the E, and the R. Okay, I'm just going to consider each. How about with the R? Don't think so. How about with the E? That would give me 3 E's. I don't think so. A looks like something maybe. No, I don't think so. And how about M? No, I don't believe so. Okay, so now I'm behind by 34 points. Not a huge deficit. I want to try to... Okay, so I could do... I need to keep the board open. There's an M here, an A here. All right, for rack balancing purposes, I could do get for 12, leaving late, which is a good leave. Unfortunately, that does close down some bingo lanes, which I'm not crazy about doing. I'm not seeing how to score highly on this board, however. Looking at the remaining tiles, no blanks remaining, 2 S's. Looking for an E play here, I don't see one. That would be nice if I could do it. Could do gate for 14 points, leaving let. Elate. Elate. Scores 21 points, leaving only GT. I'm not crazy about that leave. I have a decision here. Am I going for leave or points? I mustn't go too crazy going all out for a bingo because I'm not that far behind. If I could get some good scores. There's a Z and an X out there. There are not really great spots for the Z or the X, but if I pick them up, I could create such spots. Well, I saw get. That's not a good score, though. It does close down some bingo lanes. Not great on that front. There's still an E and an R floater. There's still some bingo lanes here in L and N. Do I do it? Every time I've been making low-scoring plays in these videos, I'm seeing higher-scoring alternatives that I could have done. Let's just look parallel really quickly. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of high-scoring opportunities here. Here, if I put an E, E-N, I could play 10 for 16 points, leaving A-E-G-L-T. That's a pretty good rack leave, and it doesn't close down bingo lanes. I like this better. Let's do this. All right. This is legated. And that currently plays in column 2, so hopefully that won't get blocked. Now, do I have other bingo opportunities? How about through this R? I'm not seeing anything through the R. How about through the E? No, but legated also plays here in row N. Okay, so I am going to have a bingo regardless of what my opponent does. Now, if I had a choice between these two spots, where would I go? This doesn't score highly, and it opens up a dangerous spot. This also opens up a dangerous spot, but it gets doubled. So I prefer this spot. Now, do I have any other bingo possibility? All right, so I can play legated right now. Just looking really quickly through the V. I don't think that's anything. This is obstructed. I like legated right now for 82 points. Yes. All right, and now I have a 40-plus point lead. My opponent is likely to score in this lane. I need to look what I can do with my scoring tiles. I have a K. I also picked up an S, which is very useful. Where is the other? There's one more S in the remaining pool. So my opponent could have it, or it could be in the bag. Okay, now, if this is not taken, which I expect it will, I could play Slink. That uses the S. Do I have a play that doesn't use the S? Not sure I do. I mean that plays from this A1 square. I might have to use the S, but to do that, that would be worthwhile at this point considering the score. And considering I don't want to give my opponent a high scoring counterplay. Now, manpower also takes an S. Could I make a good play here? I don't see a 5-letter play that reaches this double letter square. My opponent's taking a little while on this turn, but he can afford to. He has extra time. He has 2 more minutes than I do right now. I'm not in time trouble in this game. There's only 18 tiles remaining in the bag. I have 9 minutes remaining, so I'm doing pretty well on time. Now, I'm looking at this spot. An S can go here. Could play the word ski. That might be worthwhile. That's 29 points. That's a good score. And at this point, if I can keep scoring, I should be able to hold off my opponent unless my opponent gets a bingo. Crudely is a 7-letter play, but not a bingo. So that's good. And that's good for me in that he's used a lot of tiles. There's only 12 tiles remaining in the bag. Now, just looking at the bingo availability on this board, there's this L as a floater. Otherwise, the bottom of the board is not that friendly to bingos. An R will go here in front of YA. That's not particularly dangerous. I like Slink a lot, mostly because it scores 30 points. Another consideration is a back extension is slinkier. And I already have an I and an R, and there's 4 E's remaining unseen. If I can pull one of those E's, I may get a chance to play slinkier before my opponent does. Now, even if I play slink and my opponent makes a play here before I can, I'm still going to be up in score. Crudely, I note, scored 26 for my opponent. That's a pretty good score. After I play slink, I'm going to have a 50-point approximately lead, a little less than 50. I like slink and watching out for slinkier. Let's try that. I don't draw an E. All right. Now I wonder, is slinkers? I think slinkers might be good. I wouldn't challenge it if my opponent plays it. That is a possibility that my opponent might get. That would be 39 if my opponent were to get it, but I'd still have a lead in the game. Now, I have a W for scoring. Where does that score on this board? I note I'm close to the word woorari, but I would need another R to play through. I don't see that. Where can I play the W? I'm going to look to try to get points with the W. Scoring points is the most important strategic consideration for me at this point, rather than necessarily rack leave. I'm not going for a bingo at this point in the game. Now, that's an interesting play by my opponent, Tad. That suggests that my opponent may be close to a bingo. Where could my opponent be going for a bingo? Probably in this lane here. I don't really see any other bingo lanes other than through this L, which is not really that easy. But what can I do here? It's not easy to do anything here in this spot. Now, trying to look what I can do. Only an A that I have goes before this L. If I played a W here, W-A, then I'm stuck. There's nothing I can do in front of the Y. Just trying to look if it makes sense for me to try to make a play here that's kind of blocking. It might. Now, L takes a back A, I, or O. The Y takes a back A or O. So what can I do that's A-O? Not much. I-O. I almost have Agio, but I would need another A. That doesn't fit anyway. Well, the only reason I'm looking for blocking spots rather than scoring is because my opponent didn't score much with Tad, so I don't really need to score much to stay ahead. And this indicates my opponent is close to a bingo. Now, if I still want to hang on to the IR because I'm still trying to get slinkier if I can. Even if my opponent bingos, if I get slinkier, I still may be able to win the game. But it would be great if I could keep my opponent from scoring a bingo. I'm thinking this R spot is the most likely, but it could be this L too, in which case I could do something to obstruct this L. Well, whale does that. That uses the I, though. I didn't want to use the I if I could. Let's put the I and the R here. Looking at the remaining AGOOW, what can I do with those? Well, I could just do ow. Ow is 17 points. That's a good score. And it somewhat blocks this L. My opponent then would have to place an E here. That makes it more difficult to score. It would be nice if I could use yet another tile. I'm just not seeing good ways to play parallel to crudely here. But this seems okay. 17 points is a good score. It has that going for it. So I have a nearly 60, nearly a 60-point lead. And there's still 4 E's. I might draw one of those E's. Let's see if I can. I do. That's excellent. And the Z is great for scoring. So now I have slinkier if my opponent doesn't grab that spot first. Now, if my opponent does play perhaps slinkers, what can I do with the Z? Well, I could just play za. That's acceptable. All right, my opponent does not block slinkier. So I might just want to do that. All right, let's say I play slinkier. This is a bingo lane. Okay, let's calculate here. If I get 36 points and then my opponent bingos, let's see, how could my opponent bingo? Just gonna imagine different 7-letter combinations in here. I don't see a bingo with any combination of 7 letters here. The UVX combinations makes this rather unbingo-y. Just covering up each one of these letters down here with my cursor and looking at the other 7. Losing the X looks the most bingo-y, but what bingo would that be? I don't see a bingo. Now, also, I must consider the L, playing through the L. I'm pretty sure this is not a bingo. That doesn't look like anything to me. Now, if I didn't block bingo lanes and my opponent got a bingo, I would feel rather silly. But I'm pretty sure this is not a bingo. I don't see how it could be a bingo. So I like going for slinkier for 36 points. That's going to leave me with the Z. I just want to make sure I can use the Z before I make this play. I noted za here. I'm getting a little low on time, so I want to make sure. Do I have other spots for the Z? I don't want to stick myself with the Z. I could play zig. So right now I would have za or zig. I like slinkier for 36 points. All right. And here's what my opponent has. AEESTUX. Close to exhaust, but that needs an H, not an E. All right. And I'm looking to see if my opponent can get a high play here. I'm not seeing how to do that. All right. Now, I'm not going to concern myself too much with what my opponent can do. I want to concern myself with how can I play my remaining tiles. Now, I have za here. I have the G and the V, which are also not super easy to play. I could end up getting stuck with a tile or two here. I have vig right now, playing through the I. But if I play that, then can I play the Z? I might end up getting stuck with the Z. I have the 3-letter play azo. That plays right here or here. Oh, azo here scores a lot of points. That's pretty nice. Okay, latex by my opponent. Azo is still available. Just looking here to see if I have a great Z play here. Zoe, if I had another E, I'd have a really high scoring play here. Let's see. I like Azo. This is probably going to be the last play I get. My opponent has ESU. That looks pretty easy to play out. I already see two spots where my opponent could play. So I think Azo is fine. That scores 37 points, leaving me with VG. That looks fine. All right, so I have Vig. If my opponent doesn't play out, I could play Vig. I'm expecting that my opponent will play out. And does. And I'm going to pass to end the game. All right. So the final score in this game is 374 points to my opponent, 423 points to me, a winning margin of 49 points. All right, not a David Webb level of win, but I'll take it. I've been struggling to win games here lately in my videos, so any win feels great. Let's examine the game, and we'll see what I missed. Okay, so my opponent had first play here, played Hoof, and I played Ewis. Now, I played Ewis for 21 points. I could have played it for 26 points. How? J5. Oh, I see. Making hoofs. Okay. Well, I got focused on this W front hook because I had the W. This scores more because the W, instead of getting counted just twice, which it does here in this spot, gets counted 3 times here on the triple letter square. So that's how I could have scored a few more points. All right, my opponent comes in strong with airline. And I could have... Now, here the computer is suggesting using the blank to play Qua at C13. QUA for 47 points. Not sure I like that, but one positive it has, though, is it does obstruct this triple lane, which I'm leaving open by just playing QI. Although with the score the way it is, I don't want to play super blocky, so I like keeping the blank and not blocking things up. My opponent takes this spot. I was happy to find Loaches for 84. I could have scored 2 more points for Inhalos. That's not a terrible miss. I'm happy I found Loaches. And here I picked up the J, and I did play Taj for 37. Here's where I played Food, and I note that few is a verb. I could have played feud, but for 26 points, where was that? Where would that have gone? M3. Okay, I see right here. That uses both E's, keeping OO. Not too bad. I played foot for 21. Some of these other spots are higher scoring. I6 in particular. Oft. I6. OFFED. I see, but keeping 3 vowels. I like taking out this triple lane at this point. I am leading now after my Loaches play, so I don't mind taking out a triple lane, an easy scoring opponent for my opponent. Here's where I had lots of vowels. I made the play, Uride. I played it for 5 fewer points. I could have played it at 2A, and I did note that during the video, but I don't like that placement. That's a needlessly undefensive placement there. My opponent has a very nice find with Manpower. And here, I don't have a bingo. I could have played Aglet. What did I decide to do here? I made this play, and I like this play a lot that I did. It's not listed in the top plays here, but it does score 16 points. It leaves me with a good rack leave, and most importantly, it doesn't block the bingo lanes, which now that I'm trailing after Manpower is really important. So I achieve really 2 out of 3 things. I don't block the bingo lanes, I get a good leave, and I score reasonably well. I don't score as high as some of these other points, but the other 2 points that I'm noting is enough to compensate for that. And it paid off because now I was able to play legated. And I did that here in the highest scoring spot, so that's a good play. Now, here's where, again, I want to use a triple lane that is open. And I played Slink. What could I have done? I could have played some lower scoring plays. I could have played Ilk, keeping the S. I don't know. I don't mind using the S here. I score more points than Ilk, 9 more points, which is really good with the score the way it is. And as I noted, I'm going for the Slinkier. Now, I wonder, my opponent, I think, could have played Slinkers here. Maybe that's not valid. Let's check Slinkers. All right, Slinkers is not a valid play, so that's interesting to note. Had my opponent played Slinkers during the game, I don't think I would have challenged it. That seems quite reasonable to me. There's a lot of other agent nouns in the dictionary that seem a lot less sensible than Slinkers. So sometimes it's hard to know what's valid and what's not. Well, anyway, I'm glad my opponent didn't play that and making me feel silly afterwards. Instead, my opponent is going directly for a bingo playing Tad. So what is my opponent keeping here? ERSTU, a pretty good leave. The U is not so great, but it is balanced. All right, so here I decided to play somewhat blocky. Now, I could have played a Vow or Airglow. Airglow is nice. Where is that? L7 AIRGLOW. That's interesting. And that would be a very blocky play, and that really the only way to bingo would be to play through the W in exactly this spot. That would be a great defensive play. It would have the disadvantage of emptying the bag, however. So if my opponent would bingo immediately, I would lose the game. Although it looks very difficult to bingo if I play Airglow. That looks like a pretty nice play. That's not an easy play to spot. I could have also played a Vow at C4. That does not achieve what I'm looking to do here down at the bottom. So I made the play Ow, which scored 17 points, blocks this L spot. Let's see. My opponent doesn't look like has a bingo with this duplicated U doesn't help my bingo very much. Plays Roo. And looking at the tiles, I was very sure my opponent was not going to have a bingo, so I went for Slinkier. That's the third choice here. I also could have played Azo immediately. That is not indicated opening up the board when I'm not exactly sure what my opponent has. Gyoza at M10. That's a pretty nice looking play. Seems pretty safe. But I like playing Slinkers right now, or Slinkier, rather. Not Slinkers, which is a phony. Let's see what my opponent could have done. Latex. That's a good score. 40 points for my opponent. Not enough to overtake me. Here I played Azo, which was my highest scoring play, which made sense since I was quite sure my opponent was going to play out, which he did with Sue. And that's the end of that game. So anyway, well, I'm very excited to get a win after kind of a slump here that I've had in my videos over the past few weeks. Thanks for, if you're continuing to watch my guest videos, thank you for bearing with me through some of the rough times I had. If you watched last week, nearly a 400-point loss last week, which was, although I feel like I played all right, it was just one of those games where you just feel like a steamroller is running over you. So a nice change of pace to have a game that either player could have won here. Some interesting strategic considerations and worked out in the end. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you for watching. My name is Brian Gilbach, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.